Have you ever found yourself in a discussion where, no matter how much you spoke the truth, it seemed like no one was listening? Where the other side shouted, attacked, mocked, and everything you said seemed to vanish into thin air? We've all been there. And it's in those moments that the true power of communication is tested. It's not strength that wins, it's clarity. It's not the shout that silences, it's wisdom. Today you're going to learn 5 phrases so precise that they not only end a discussion, but completely change the way people see you. These phrases aren't about humiliating anyone, they're about mastering with elegance. They're about speaking with conviction when the world screams around you. And pay attention, the third one is capable of dismantling even the most skilled manipulator. Before you learn the phrases, there's something you need to understand. The world values those who speak loudly, who impose themselves, who win arguments. But the greatest leaders in history, from Socrates to Marcus Aurelius, learned the opposite. Those who master silence master themselves, and those who master themselves win any debate. The first phrase is simple but powerful. You're not right just because you're shouting. This phrase, when said calmly, changes the course of any conversation. Imagine someone trying to intimidate you, raising their voice, using harsh words to wear you down. Most people would respond in kind, but not you. You look at them, breathe, and say this phrase. In that instant, the energy shifts. The other person realizes that their power, the shouting, doesn't affect you. And when the aggressor sees that their noise doesn't shake you, they fall silent. The Stoics called this emotional mastery. Epictetus said, "The one who angers you controls you." By using this phrase, you prove the opposite, that no one controls you. You don't need to get worked up. Your serenity speaks louder. The second phrase is a mirror that reflects the true face of the other person. The way you speak says everything about who you are. This response is devastating because it doesn't counterattack, it simply reveals the truth. When someone treats you with disrespect, irony, or sarcasm, the natural reaction is to hit back. But this phrase turns the attack into reflection. It shifts the focus from you to their behavior. Suddenly they're not offending you anymore, they're exposing themselves. And that's what terrifies those who try to bring you down, realizing they've revealed their true selves. Seneca said, "Language is the reflection of the soul." So, when you say, "The way you speak says everything about who you are," you're simply exposing what they were trying to hide with their tone. This phrase is a mirror, and those who aren't at peace with their own reflection can't continue their attack. Now the third phrase, the most dangerous for those trying to manipulate you. I won't continue while you're trying to hurt me. This is the phrase that cuts through any attempt at emotional control, because manipulators thrive on conflict. They provoke you to make you lose your cool, say something impulsive, and then feel guilty. But when you say with serenity, "I won't continue while you're trying to hurt me," you take their toy away. They lose their power. You show that you're not available for their mind games. Epictetus taught, "It's not what they say to you that hurts you, it's what you accept that hurts you." This phrase is exactly that, an unbreakable boundary. You're not surrendering, you're setting the minimum conditions for respect. And the most interesting thing is that it doesn't sound aggressive. It sounds mature, so mature that it disarms those who wanted to provoke you. The fourth phrase is the most elegant way to end a pointless conversation. I choose my peace, not the last word. How many times have you insisted on continuing a debate just to prove you were right? How many times have you realized too late that no one wins in a discussion where respect has already been lost? This phrase is your shield against that. When you say, "I choose my peace, not the last word," you step off the battlefield without losing your dignity. You're not running away, you're rising above the chaos. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Tranquility comes when we stop reacting to what we cannot control." This phrase is the perfect translation of that wisdom. It's not giving up, it's a choice. And every time you choose your peace, you gain more than any verbal victory. Because those who need to have the last word have already lost control. And finally, the fifth, the most diplomatic of all, I understand what you think, but I don't agree. This is the phrase of someone who has their own opinion. It doesn't attack, doesn't provoke, doesn't try to convert anyone. It simply states your position with elegance. I understand what you think, but I don't agree. Simple, direct, and impossible to argue against, because it gives the other person the right to think differently while holding firm to your own point of view. Seneca said, "The free mind is the one that thinks for itself." And that's what you demonstrate with this phrase, emotional and intellectual freedom. Those who hear you realize that you don't argue to win, you argue to understand. And that, in the end, is what separates ordinary people from wise ones. These 5 responses have something in common. They silence without wounding. They are shields of calm in the midst of a storm. And the reason they work is simple. They come from control. And control is what most unsettles those who try to dominate you. Aggressive people expect resistance. When they encounter serenity, they lose their balance. But the secret isn't just in the words, it's in how you say them. A firm, calm tone without haste, without excessive emotion. Because when you speak like that, you convey something far greater than an argument. You convey authority. Authority isn't shouting louder. It's speaking so clearly that even silence leans in to listen. And there's a crucial point here. You don't use these phrases to prove superiority. You use them to protect your integrity. Every time you respond with calm instead of anger, you reinforce the image of someone who knows themselves. And those who know themselves are immune to manipulation. Epictetus, the slave who became a philosopher, said, "It's not the insult that offends you, it's the value you give to it." These responses are the exact reflection of that principle. They strip away the power of the other person's words and give the power back to you. The next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, don't play their game. Control the pace of the conversation, your breathing, your tone. And when the moment comes, use the right phrase, because the true master of communication isn't the one who speaks the most, but the one who speaks right. And when you speak right, the other doesn't shout, they listen. These 5 responses you've just learned aren't just phrases, they're tools for self-control, and when applied with awareness, they change how the world sees you. Because what truly silences people isn't the volume of your voice, it's the solidity of your mind. When you speak with purpose, those who try to hurt you realize there's no crack to get through. But there's something few notice. The power of a response doesn't lie in the words themselves, but in the energy behind them. The tone, the pause, the look, the serenity. It's the contrast between the other person's chaos and your calm that creates the impact. Think of an authoritarian boss. They storm into the room, slam the table, speak loudly, and demand everyone listen. Most people shrink, agree, pretend to understand. But you, without raising your voice, look at them firmly and say, "You're not right just because you're shouting." The silence that follows is the true sound of authority. It's not rebellion, it's maturity. It's the difference between reacting and responding. When you react, the other person controls you. When you respond, you control them. That's the essence of Stoicism applied to communication. Marcus Aurelius, even while ruling the most powerful empire on earth, knew this. He wrote to himself every morning, "Nothing a man says offends me unless I allow it." That's the mindset that turns discussions into opportunities to show character. Now imagine another scenario, a difficult family member, the one who always tries to put you down. You know they want to throw you off balance. They throw out a joke disguised as a tease. Instead of biting back, you just smile and say, "The way you speak says everything about who you are." The person laughs, but soon after, they feel the weight of their own attitude. They realize you didn't take the bait, and that disarms them. There's no defense more powerful than tranquility. It's the invisible armor of the wise. Epictetus said that wisdom begins when we learn to separate what we control from what we don't. You don't control what others say, but you control the value you give to what they say. And that's why, when someone tries to hurt you, the mistake is theirs. It only becomes yours when you respond with the same energy. These phrases are keys to breaking that pattern. They don't just defend you, they free you. Now, about manipulators. They thrive on imbalance. They observe your reactions, study your weaknesses, and build arguments to confuse you. But the third phrase, "I won't continue while you're trying to hurt me," is like a wall. It takes away their fuel, because a manipulator needs you to play their game. Without the game, they fall apart. Do you see how everything changes? This phrase isn't an attack, it's a boundary. And a boundary is the purest form of self-love. Many mistake boundaries for arrogance, but those who set boundaries are saying, I respect myself enough not to submit to what diminishes me. And that's exactly the stance that commands respect, even from those who don't like you. When you speak like this, you show something rare, discernment. And discernment is something even those who hate you have to respect. Now let's talk about the fourth lesson. I choose my peace, not the last word. This is one of the hardest phrases to use because it requires detachment. It requires the maturity to understand that the last word isn't always a victory. Sometimes it's a prison. How many pointless arguments have drained your energy? How many times have you left feeling like you won but slept poorly? It's because deep down, those who fight for reason lose their peace. When you say, I choose my peace, you're choosing wisdom. You're not staying silent, you're freeing yourself. And the most curious thing is that when you stop competing, the other person realizes they've lost control, and the power shifts to your side. Seneca wrote that no wind is favorable to those who don't know where they're going. Arguing with someone who doesn't seek understanding is just that, rowing without direction. So when you choose peace, you finally decide the course of the conversation and your energy. The fifth and final phrase, I understand what you think, but I don't agree, is the ultimate symbol of self-confidence. It shows that you don't need anyone's approval to stand firm. There's no attack, no defense, there's clarity, and clarity is the language of the strong. Using this phrase is like putting a period at the end of an attempt to impose something on you. It says, I hear you, but I follow my conscience. And that's worth more than 1,000 arguments. The world needs more people like this. People who don't need to win every argument, but master every emotion. Who know when to speak, when to stay silent, and above all, when to walk away. There's something profoundly powerful about someone who doesn't get shaken. Someone who, in the face of provocation, just breathes and says, let's talk when we can do this with respect. That's true strength. It's not the punch, it's the control. It's not the quick reply, it's the right reply. Remember, calmness confuses, serenity intimidates, silence teaches. People expect you to react like everyone else, but when you respond like almost no one else, you change the game. And changing the game is what separates those who lose energy from those who gain respect. These phrases aren't shields to hide behind, they're tools to build presence. Because respect is born when the other person realizes that nothing they say can throw you off balance. Calmness is the sound of power, and when you master that sound, everyone falls silent to listen. Now practice. Don't wait for the next argument to use them. Start applying them in small moments. When someone interrupts you, when they question you unfairly, when they try to push you into chaos. Respond with clarity, with conviction, and with lightness. You'll notice something curious. People change their tone. They start choosing their words more carefully before speaking to you. Not because they're afraid, but because they feel respect. And respect is the inevitable result of someone who speaks with awareness. Epictetus said that circumstances don't shape a man, they only reveal him. These phrases reveal who you are when the world tries to throw you off balance. And if you apply them consistently, you'll notice a silent transformation. Arguments diminish, attacks lose their strength, and silence starts working in your favor. Leading a conversation isn't about defeating the other person. It's about guiding the tone. And the right tone is the one that doesn't rise. It stabilizes. It's the tone that shows you're in control of your mind, not a hostage to your emotions. These responses are the art of saying no without closing doors, of protecting yourself without building walls, and of winning without fighting. And those who master this art don't need to prove anything, because real power isn't in silencing the other person, but in inspiring them to think. In the end, what you gain by applying all this isn't just respect, it's freedom. Freedom to be who you are, even when the world tries to provoke you. Freedom to respond without losing yourself. Freedom to say little and mean a lot. And that's what the wise have always known, that the silence of someone who's right echoes louder than the shout of someone trying to be. In the end, you'll realize that true power was never about winning arguments, but about winning yourself. The voice you need to listen to most is your own. When you master your own tone, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Use these phrases as bridges, not weapons. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, calmness is invincible. And that's what you become when you speak with wisdom, invincible. So practice, stay serene, and remember, those who control their words control the silence, and those who control the silence control everything.